And so Andy had a very close relationship with cardiologist, and you very kindly interrupted your program to be here today to say a few words about your dear friend as well. And Asim Malhotra is an eminent cardiologist, as some of you will know. He's in London, and he is Kailash's only surviving son, Kailash. And Anisha, many of you will know she was also a local GP who served the community very well for many, many decades. So we're going to start off firstly with Asim. Asim, you're going to tell us something about your dear dad and your great relationship with your dear dad. And then we're going to, I think, David, you're going to say a few words as well as one of his patients from a very early time. So thank you very much. So, Asim.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, everybody, for coming here today. It's so lovely to see so many close friends, colleagues who are here to pay respect to Dad, a one-year anniversary. Special thank you to Andy. I know if Dad was alive, he'd be smiling right now because I know he'd feel honoured that what you're about to do. And he has so much respect and love for you as well, Andy, as you know. So it's really nice. It's a really nice occasion. And also special thank you to Dr. Jawad Brahm, Uncle. He has now inherited this surgery that Dad built, and it was really gracious of him to have this event here today. Throughout my career, I've always tried to do whatever I can to, as all of us as doctors, we want to, our duty, our responsibility is to relieve suffering of patients. And this event that happened last year, which is still, I know many of you, very, very shocking still to think about it, that he was so full of life and something to go like that. And of course, as doctors, we know these things happen. Sometimes these crazy events happen that we can't explain, and all of us at some point in our lives are going to suffer the loss of a loved one. So it's all very, very traumatic. But I was trying to think, what can we learn from it? And at the funeral last year, when I gave my speech, I did talk about the fact that that we wanted there to be some understanding, and explanation, even accountability to the events that led up to Dad's cardiac arrest and what happened afterwards. And at that time, I was aware, and so was Jay's uncle, that there had been a significant ambulance delay, and that information wasn't being well publicised. And in the end, through an investigation involving the Iron newspaper, we found out that for a reliable source, that the Department of Health and NHS England were aware of the ambulance delays for so long, but hadn't deliberately decided that they weren't going to tell the public and doctors about it. And of course, on reflection, it probably would have changed its outcome if we were aware about this, because we wouldn't have called the ambulance, he would have gone to the local hospital and probably been defibrillated. So interestingly, just last week, I attended an event at the King's Fund, and it was about patient safety, and the chief guest was Jeremy Hunt. And he was there to promote his new book. He's now the champion of patient safety, which I thought was very interesting. So I was actually I asked a question of Jeremy Hunt, and I relayed the story of what happened to Dad. And I said, well, what happens? Where's the accountability, Jeremy? Do we not need stiff penalties for maybe managers or people higher up around this? And I just provoked the question. And he actually gave me an answer which made a lot of sense. He said that in his experience, it's not about finger pointing that doesn't work, and people who want to speak up are scared of speaking up. And what I did tell him at the time as well in front of everybody is I said that when I realised that there was an ambulance delay and we discovered this problem, and I won't name this person because I think this is a symptom of the system failure, I contacted a very senior cardiologist in the NHS in a leadership role, and I said, this is what we found out, and I'm going to write about it because people need to know the truth. And he said, Asim, I wouldn't do that if I were you. You're only going to make yourself enemies. So I think that kind of culture, unfortunately, has seeped into many parts of the NHS, and we need more of a duty of candour. And actually, I think Jeremy is right to some degree that instead of finger pointing, we have to all take some responsibility and accountability for this, which means we are all here in some way, shape or form responsible for this, as well as not being directly to blame. So where do we move forward from here? My dad always taught me that it's very important to always speak truth to power, and we need more courage of our convictions. And there's more to come, and I'm not going to talk about it now, but clearly this was an avoidable, preventable death. But ultimately there are structural failures that drive these sorts of problems. And I just want you to make aware that we are now, there's another part 2 of the story which is yet to emerge, but I'm not going to share that with you now, but I just want to give you some quotes, including one of Dad's last lessons for life that he sent to me. So recently I've been watching a few interesting documentaries on John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, fascinating documentaries. And I think in the words of John F. Kennedy, what he said in the early 60s actually is relevant to what's going on right now. And that is this: a revolution is at hand, and our task is to make that change peaceful and constructive for all. Those who do nothing are inviting shame. Those who act boldly are recognizing right as well as reality. And later on, his brother, Robert Kennedy, who was also sadly killed and assassinated, he also said this, and this is about what we call the structural drivers of these problems. He says we need to pass laws that